Everybody has had a gateway anime that made them from a non-anime manga enthusiast into an anime fan, and those gateway shows are usually popular standard series such as Death Note, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, or any of the so-called Big Three. But today, I'm gonna talk about a certain anime in particular, an anime for true people of culture, for academics, for scholars like me. High School of the Dead. That's right, after so many years, I've decided to rewatch the 12 episodes and the OVA of High School of the Dead. 12 episodes of fan service, of juiciness, of pure quality plot. This anime has a special place in my heart. It's one of the first anime that got me, and I'm sure many other people, into this medium of anime. Now I'm about to say something that you wouldn't dare to say into this kind of series, but High School of the Dead is a classic. It came out in 2010, and harem ecchi anime were a huge thing back then, and to double of that, you just have to look at the pop culture landscape of that time. The zombie craze was at an all-time high at the end of the 2000s and the beginning of the 2010s. We had the Call of Duty games with zombie survival mode, The Last of Us became one of the top AAA games, we had blockbuster movies and series that came out that were about zombies like World War Z, Zombieland, The Walking Dead. Take the concept of guns, bombastic explosions, zombies, and combine it with the ecchi harem genre, and you have my 13-year-old me saying like, oh my god dude, this is what I've been looking for, this is the kind of entertainment I was looking for. Even one of my friends, we became best friends because one day I caught him watching High School of the Dead in his phone, and I was like, hey, is that High School of the Dead? Yeah man, I'm watching High School of the Dead, and that's how we became best friends. Anime titties brings people together, guys. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of you have watched this anime already, but for those of you who have never watched High School of the Dead, the story follows a bunch of high school students as they fight to survive during a global zombie outbreak. An outbreak happens, people fight to survive, they try to find their loved ones, and they try to escape to a safe place. That's overall the synopsis of the show. Now, if you look back at the first episode, you'll realize one thing in particular, and I don't remember any anime that I've watched all over the years that has so many penny shots in one single episode as this one. Now, as we all know, fan service is an element that is permeated throughout the entire show, and personally, I like my fan service and I enjoy it pretty much, but it can turn some people off from watching this anime, and that's very understandable, and I see where their perspective comes from. But let me tell you this, fan service is not inherently a bad thing, it's how you use it. If you look at High School of the Dead as a series that is targeted to a certain niche, a certain demographic, and resonates with them, then it has fulfilled its purpose. But if you look at it as a piece of media aimed to the masses, then it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Anyways, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Talking about the main characters of the show, we have our main character Takashi, and I personally like his character because he's not like your average harem protagonist or any passive type of character that you usually see in ecchi anime. This guy doesn't put up with the shit other people makes. For instance, there was this moment in the first episode where the main female character Rei accuses Takashi of being a heartless person because he had to mercy kill his best friend Hisashi at his request because he didn't want to die as a zombie, and Takashi did what it had to be done regardless how hurtful it can be emotionally. And this girl, Rei, tries to frame him of being jealous that she and Hisashi were dating, and you know how my boy reacted? He was like, you know what? Fine. I'm gonna leave you alone. I'm going to do my thing. I'm not putting up with your shit. Understandable. Have a nice day. This guy ain't a simp. We also have, as I mentioned before, Rei, who's supposed to be the main girl. Also, I've never liked her character. She's kind of annoying. Complains on the main character every single time. But, you know, she's the main girl, so you expect that she's gonna end up with the main character. And now we have the best character of the show, Goda. I've always liked this character to death. He totally stole this show for me. He's a military nerd as me, and at first he's your stereotypical nerdy, awkward fat guy that you have the impression that he doesn't do anything, but at the end, he's the one who saves the day. And next we have the rest of the main characters, who are basically the main character's harem. We have Shizuka, who's the high school's nurse, and she's actually my second favorite out of all of the female characters, and she has this ditzy, oblivious personality. She doesn't know what the hell is happening around her. I mainly like her because she is the oldest of the group and she's the teacher, and not because of any other reason rather than her personality. Definitely.
That was a fucking lie.
We have Takagi, the tsundere of the group, and she's your usual brash, bratty princess who's always loud, and I'm surprised she wasn't killed off in the first episode, cause here's the thing guys, zombies in this universe are blind and slow, and they feel no pain, and they're guided only by sound. So if they hear a prominent noise, especially in a very silent environment, you're fucked. I couldn't stand her in the first episodes, but she gets better as the episodes go by. Next, we have the best wife of the show, Saiko. I love her. She's a badass. She's mature, sexy. I love her voice, and she might be a little bit crazy, but I'll let it slide. And lastly, we have Alice, the lolly of the group. That's it. That's all you need to know. Now, as we all remember, the reason why we love High School of the Dead is because of the over-the-top action and the juicy fan service, and despite from being made 11 years ago, it still holds up. And comparing the animation to other ecchi type of anime, High School of the Dead still has some of the best panty shots, boob physics, and pervy scenes that you could ever ask for. That scene where Takeshi goes down the stairs and then sees Saiko half naked with an apron and a thong, like that shit, that awoke something in me, man. Of course, how we can't forget that famous scene that will always be remembered in the history of anime. The scene of the bullet time titties. Putting the fan service aside, there is a certain topic that I really wanted to talk about in this video, and is how is High School of the Dead is a zombie apocalypse story. The sole premise of having a bunch of people fighting for their lives against all odds where the stakes are so high is already interesting enough that us, the viewers, gets invested right away. And one of the things that High School of the Dead is really good at doing is portraying the shift of social paradigms that has existed until the outbreak, and the characters have to adapt to a new environment and create a new social structure. Because think about it, the global economy is crashing down, politicians don't know how to deal with the problem, the police and the military are getting overrun, the communications are in shambles, any previous social structure is now out of the window. And now these individuals that at the beginning of the show didn't knew each other or barely knew each other now have to work together as a team to survive, because everything that the characters knew and the expectations society had from them is totally gone. What was considered important, such as education, getting good grades, authority figures, you know, things that you learned in school, even though it has its place in an emergency situation, all of that is basically useless. And because of that, people that were considered non-important, unappreciated, or that they excel in an ability that by many regular people see as a mere hobby, now plays a bigger role to the point that it could save their lives and even granting them a new social value. Let's take a look on Koda. He's your stereotypical nerd, chubby, nobody talks to him, girls don't like him, he doesn't have a very high self-esteem. But later on, when the school is getting overrun by zombies, Takagi and Koda, who are in the same class, decides to work together. So Takagi orders Koda to come with her, and she tries to motivate him to keep himself alive, because at first he was terrified, but later on she realizes that Koda has an ability that is very useful in this situation. As I said previously, Koda is a military nerd who not only is knowledgeable in different weapons, he knows how to fire them. So he grabs this nail gun and modifies it into an improvised semi-automatic rifle. Therefore, he proved himself to be reliable thanks to Takagi's encouragement. In the case of Saiko, aka Best Waifu, her proficiency at Kendo proves to be very useful in a zombie apocalypse setting. All in all, the main characters, despite from being just high schoolers, demonstrate a capability of taking charge, taking action, and to adapt when things go wrong. Unlike some of the adults we see later on in the series who are so ignorant and denies the horrors that are happening in front of them just to keep their sanity. Not only that, they try to force Koda to give away all of his weaponry for just being a kid, therefore he's not trustworthy. When in reality, he's a better shooter than anyone in the room. Or this other instance in the first episode, the teachers who are supposed to protect and guide the students are incapable to deal with a critical moment and puts the whole body student in danger. Moreover, a teacher screams over the loudspeaker and causes the entire school to panic, making things worse. Fortunately, not all of the adults in the series are like that. Characters like Shizuka or Takagi's father understands the importance of supporting the young people, encouraging them to be independent and stand on their own feet, or even recognize their inner talent as individuals. These are some of the aspects of what made High School of the Dead so compelling. It had a nice character development, the story was interesting enough, the fan service. After finishing watching High School of the Dead, you're left wanting to see more of it, like you want to know what the hell happens next. You're left with this love triangle between Takashi, Rei, and Saiko, and I forgot to mention this previously, but they don't have the most healthy relationship between those three, because with Takashi and Rei, their relationship is more dependent more than it is romantic, because Rei is using Takashi as a rebound because she lost her boyfriend Hisashi in the first episode, and with Saiko, she has this attitude of totally needing the affection of Takashi solely to maintain her self-worth as a person and to keep her sanity, and Takashi's not helping her either. The guy, he's intentionally going along with that because he wants to fulfill his sexual gratification, and in part because he knows that Saiko's abilities with the sword are keeping the rest of the group alive. And on the other hand, we have the relationship between Takagi and Koda, and we are all aware that they're going to end up together sooner or later in the story. But sadly, as we all know, we will never get to see how the story continues because the author of the manga, Daisuke Sato, passed away in 2017. The 30 chapters that made up the original manga series is all what we have of this incredible story. Over the years, most of us were asking around the internet when is the second season of High School of the Dead coming out, or when is going to be published the next chapter of the manga. In any case, I have enjoyed the rewatch. We'll always remember High School of the Dead as one of the best zombie apocalypse story that has ever come out and one of the best ecchi anime that has ever been out there. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts about High School of the Dead, or tell me what was your gateway that made you from a casual anime fan into a full weeb. As always, if you enjoyed the video, press the like and subscribe button, and see you guys next time.